Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Lisa Beth and today I will be doing a touch of magic tutorial for my Tinkerbell inspired fairy gown. For this creation, I wanted the dress to have a tattered look in order to give it a leafy feel. So most of the dress is the same motif. I chose a combination of darker green to give it that more leafy feel and a lime green, which is more of what you would see on a Tinkerbell dress. I will go ahead and I will show you a better view of the dress, including the back. I'm just going to go into edit mode on my existing dress here. This is what it looks like from the front and the back. To create this, I only used about 5 motifs total, but at least 45 of the 50 layers. I think it was close to 48 or 49. However, a lot of that will be repeating motifs through mirroring. So to get started, we want to go ahead and we want to click on wardrobe and you want to click customize. We're going to go ahead and add new, and we're going to scroll down till we see the basic sweetheart strapless gown. Select that. And we're going to hit create. So now we have our base dress and we're going to leave this white. And the reason why is because the lime green color that I'm using for the base of the dress, if we put it right on the dress, it doesn't pop as much as when you put it on a shape. So I'm going to put it on a shape. I'm going to create a new layer by clicking this plus here. And I'm going to select a square under shapes. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the color by using the paint tool here. And I'm going to select on the 2 rows of green, I'm going to select the bottom middle one. And we're going to use that lime green. Now I'm going to enlarge it all the way as much as I can using the arrows here. And I'm going to put this to the bottom of the dress. Now we just need to cover the front bottom of the dress. We don't need to go all the way to the top or all the way around. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to copy this piece. And the way we're going to do that, now for this video's sake, I'm going to call this the edit wheel here. And this cube here, I'm going to call this the shape toolbar. So we're going to go ahead, click on the cube to pull up the shape toolbar. And what we're going to do is we want to copy this piece and essentially mirror it. So, and when we mirror a piece, what it's going to do is it's going to basically take the piece that you have, it's going to copy it, but it's going to put it on the opposite side. So you basically have 2 pieces reflecting each other. So I'm going to do this, but I'm going to use it just to copy the piece. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit copy. And this is just a quick way to do it so I don't have to keep going back into the categories and adding a new layer and finding my shape multiple times. So I'm going to go ahead, it's already full size, and I'm going to move this towards the top of the dress. Now you don't want to put it all the way up because then you'll have that gap there. You just want to put it up enough so it at least comes up to the waist. So that'll be good there. And we're going to put stuff over this so it's fine the way it is. Now we're going to work on the bottom of the dress. And we're going to go ahead and we are going to select a new layer by pushing the plus button. We're going to create a lace effect here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to select nature. And to create the lace effect, we're going to go down to the 3rd row all the way on the right and select this leaf pattern. Now for the leaf pattern, it's a little too light here. So I'm going to go select the paint tool and I'm going to go the next shade darker on the left here. Now I'm also going to shrink this down a little bit because we don't want it too big. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn this over. And we're going to maybe make it just a little bit smaller. And I think probably around there. It's going to get bigger as we go down the dress, you'll see. So we don't want it too big. Now, what we want to do is we want to create a repeating pattern. In order to do that, you want to click your toolbar here and you're going to select this repeating pattern icon here with the multiple dots. So we're going to click that. And as you can see, it repeated the pattern here. Now you don't want to click outside the dress just yet. You want to go ahead and in order to move these around to where you want them, you just want to move them around here somewhere. Maybe right around here should look good. I'm going to have that 1 leaf in the middle. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click outside the dress. That way, once you click outside the dress area, it kind of leaves it in place and it ensures that when you do your next layer, you don't accidentally move the last layer that you did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go select my last layer on the layers toolbar here. I'm going to click on that. We want to repeat this pattern again. So I'm going to click on the toolbar and I'm going to select the mirror tool. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to basically do what we did with the green shapes and copy it. So as you can see, that copied this layer here. Now I'm going to go ahead and this time I am going to click out because I want to be able to manually move this piece. So I'm going to click on the top layer And I'm gonna move this probably to right around here. I think about there should be good. We can always move them around a little bit more if we need to, but I want it to kind of be in the middle there somewhere. So we want to kind of have things overlapping. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to select this, and then we're going to mirror it again. And I'm going to click outside. So I want to be able to move this as I want. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this about here. I think that looks good. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mirror that. I'm going to click outside because I just want to be specific with where I put these. So the clicking outside really helps. I'm going to click the layer again, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to layer that one more time. And I think that looks pretty good. We have a little spaces in there, so I might just play around with these a little bit. And just kind of move them to where I want them. I think that looks a little better. Now we have kind of a consistent repeating pattern. Now it is kind of random where it's placed, but I do want it kind of random, so I think that looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and we'll leave it like that for now. We can always adjust later if we want to, if we're not happy with it, but I think it looks pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on the bottom of the skirt more, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to select a new layer, and we're going to start working with a new piece. And this piece is going to be the piece that we use for most of the dress. Now you're going to scroll down to probably about a quarter to a third of the way down, and you're going to select this bandage looking piece. There's two here. Select the one on the right, and then we're going to go ahead and we are going to turn this vertically to the left, and you want to maybe have it at a slight angle. It doesn't need to be at a super sharp angle, but a little angle is good. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to maximize this. Now what we're going to do, we're going to use this to create like an overskirt. So I'm going to pull this most of the way out, maybe to about here, maybe even in a little bit more, maybe right around there. So, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the toolbar. I'm going to mirror it so it's the same on the other side. Now I want to be able to fill in the bottom of the dress here too. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to click outside of there. I'm going to select my top layer, the piece we just created, and I'm going to mirror that again. And I'm going to click outside the dress so I don't move that last piece. I'm going to select my top layer again, and I'm going to scroll out a little bit because that will help. And I want to kind of line these pieces up, but I also want to make sure the bottom of the dress is covered. So now that I have the bottom of the dress covered, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mirror that piece as well. So now we have this lovely angle here, and we have this overskirt going on. Don't mind the weave here because we're going to end up covering that piece up. Now what we want to do is we want to cover the back of the dress as well. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to go to the top layer, and we're going to start mirroring this piece a bunch of times. And we're going to, as we mirror each piece, we're going to click outside once we mirror it, and then we're going to take the top layer and we're going to move it around. So I'll demonstrate. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to mirror that piece. You're going to click outside here, and then you're going to go to the top layer, which is going to switch over to the piece we just mirrored. So we had a piece over here. It's going to mirror the other piece over here. So you can't really see it because it's already on top of another identical piece. So basically, as long as you have this selected, you should be good. The top layer selected, you should be good. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to move this piece over around here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And you want to make sure that they're overlapped just slightly so that we're covering the bottom of the dress. We don't need to worry about this part up here because we're going to work on that later. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to mirror that again. And I'm going to go ahead and select that last layer we just created, and we're going to mirror again. And as you can see, like I said before, it's a lot of mirroring. And then we're going to go ahead, we're going to move this over, and we're going to move it over just about as much as we can so it's still overlapping. Now, it doesn't need to cover the entire bottom of this part here because we're going to cover that later. But I'm going to go ahead and I am going to mirror that piece now. So now we have these lovely striations here, and it almost looks like it's leaves from a plant, which I absolutely love. So this is looking good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mirror that one more time. But this time I'm going to take the top layer and I'm going to move it around to the front. And we're going to pull it all the way over to the right side. Now you can start with a new layer if you want and grab this piece again, but I just find this easier to do it this way. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to make it so that it's kind of like a second layer of the dress, the bottom of the dress. And you want to be able to have this space here. So it kind of creates almost like this ribbon effect. We're using the natural shape of this piece to create these ribbons. I think that looks pretty good there. I might just pull it down just a little bit. And then I went ahead and I copied that there. So now we have these pieces here. I think that looks pretty good. I think that's looking nice. So what we want to do now is we actually want to move on to the top of the dress, and then we'll come back and we'll finish off the bottom. We're going to be switching back and forth a little bit because there's certain parts that I just don't want to cover up. That's at least how I did it originally, and it works best in recreating it as well. So what I'm going to do is I want to create a scalloped edge up top here, and we're going to have a tattered top at the very top of the dress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create a nude effect on your character. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and we are going to create a new layer. You want to select shapes and you want to select a square. That square will work fine. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to enlarge this. You don't want to enlarge it too much, but just so it covers the top here. You want to be able to cover the top. And what we're going to do is we are going to select our paint tool, and you're going to want to select a color that's going to work for your character's skin tone. Now, my character is the lightest one, and I find that this orange color works well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select that. Now, we're going to do another layer on top to mute this, so to get it closer to the skin tone. So if you find after we do the next step that the skin tone doesn't look right, you can always go back and I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to select a new layer, and we're going to select shapes, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to scroll down until we get to the gradients. And for this, we're going to go ahead, we're going to enlarge this as well, and we're going to select the white color. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move this up, and we're going to kind of adjust this so that way, as you can see, the closer up I get it, the more it mutes out those orange tones. Now, if I put it up too much, it's going to become completely white, so we don't want that. You want to just kind of find a balance, and there might be a little bit of edging here, but that's fine. You're not really going to see it once you're wearing the dress. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to leave that there. Now, if you find that the color underneath is not working, like the orange that I used, you can click on that second layer there, and you can click the paint tool, and you can go back in and you can adjust. So as you can see, that's a little too dark for my character. So I'm going to go back to the orange, and you can kind of play with it. Just make sure that after you select your color, you click outside the dress, so that way you can see how it's going to look. Once you find the right color, we're going to move on to creating the scalloped edge. In order to do that, we're going to go into our layers, and we're going to go back to that tattered bandage piece that we had been working with before. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to change it to that green color we were working with on the second row of greens, the second to darkest shade. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to rotate this. So that way you have the scalloped edge on top, and we're going to move it over to the left here to start. And you want to kind of get it kind of as close to the top as you can, and move it towards the center a little bit. Maybe kind of like that, something like that. Oh, and I just moved it. That's why it's always good to click outside the dress area. And you might just have to like rotate it a little bit to get it to where you want it. I think I want it right about there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mirror that on the other side. I think that looks pretty good. I like where that's at. So what I'm going to do now is I want to cover part of the sides of the dress here. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to mirror this piece here. I'm going to select the top layer and then I'm just going to move this kind of over here. We want to just be able to cover this area right here and kind of keep that tattered look as well. So maybe we'll kind of keep it like that. I think that'll look good. So we don't need to have everything covered, but we want to be able to like continue this. We want to be able to continue this piece here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mirror that. And then what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and we are going to mirror one more time. Well, we're going to mirror more than that, but we're going to mirror one more time. And we're going to take the piece that was just created here, the top layer. And we are going to pull this down so that it creates kind of a crumb catcher effect. I'm not sure if you've ever seen a crumb catcher top, but it's basically a top that kind of fans out in layers. And I think that's about where I want it. I think that looks good. So I'm going to keep that there and I'm going to go ahead and mirror that on the other side. So, and I think that's looking good. Now, what I want to do is I want to cover the middle and I want to cover the back of the top of the dress. So once again, I'm going to mirror. We're just doing a lot of mirroring and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull that down to the middle. Now I actually want to turn this upside down. This is just the way I found the shape works best for this part. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to maximize this. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull this down so that it just covers the top of these belt pieces here. So you want to make sure that's just covered. We probably have to enlarge this a little bit more. And it might just take a little bit of finessing. But I think about here's probably going to be good. Let's see. Probably right around there. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to mirror this again because obviously we have this empty space here. And when we mirror it, it actually overlaps a little bit. So now we have this nice center piece here. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to click outside there. And I really love the way this is looking. The scallop edge looks great, I think. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the top layer again and we're going to start repeating and moving pieces so that we cover all the way to the back. So, and just make sure you don't have any gaps here. You want to just place it so that way they're overlapping. And mirror. Now that is obviously, now that one, see, now I accidentally left a little bit of gap. So I'm actually just going to cancel that out and I'm going to just move this over just a little bit more. So that way I can just make sure that they're covered on both sides. That's better. So, and then we're going to go ahead, we're going to take the top layer of the piece that we just created. We're going to mirror again. We're going to click on the top piece. And after you mirror, make sure that you're clicking outside of here, unless I mention it, because otherwise you'll move the piece that you just did. So I'm going to do this. And now we kind of have it. So it's overlapping that other piece, but the top of the dress is covered in the back. And we're just going to mirror that. So now it should look like this. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and we are going to work on the bottom of the dress some more. And to do that, we are going to go ahead and we are going to take a new layer and we're going to go into all and we're going to select that bandage piece again. And we're going to take this and we're going to go ahead and we're going to enlarge it all the way, and you want to turn it to the right so that it's slightly angled. And we're going to put that on the left here. So that way you kind of have, now I think I'm going to actually make this a little bit smaller just so there's a little bit variation. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to leave it around here. So that way you have these tattered layers here. And I think that looks really good. Now, it might look a little messy here, but we're actually going to be putting something over there, so don't worry about that right now. And so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take the top layer and I'm going to mirror it since I like how that looks. And you can adjust it how you want. If you don't want it exactly like that, that's fine. This is just how I like to do it. Now, last, we need to go ahead and we need to cover the back here. And then we can finish off on the top. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to take this top layer and we're going to mirror it. We're going to click outside and then we're going to take the top layer again and we're going to move that to the back here. Now, I am going to angle this because we want to create like a V shape basically. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this pretty much all the way up so that we get like a V here. So we want to kind of see. Actually, I have to move it up a little bit. And you don't want any spaces here, so you might just have to play with it a little bit. So this looks about good here, I think. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to repeat that layer there. And we're going to create, again, we're basically creating tattered pieces and kind of layers on the skirt. And it's going to create these really pretty striations in the back, and they're going to come to a point, so it's going to be these V shapes on the back as well. So we're going to do a bunch of mirroring here and moving pieces and angling. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mirror that last piece that we did. Click outside, and then we're going to take the top layer and we're going to move it down. And we want to move this in, and we're going to angle it some more. So that way we get that V piece. And you just want to check on the side to make sure, see, I didn't cover that all the way. So you want to angle that some more and make sure that it's covered. We want to make sure all that's covered. So I'm going to have to angle this just a little bit more. And I think that should be about good. So that looks good. So we got that V shape here, and we don't have any spaces open there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mirror that. And then we're going to keep just repeating that process. We're going to mirror, we're going to click outside, we're going to click our top layer, and then we're going to move it down. And then you can angle it as you need to if you want to just get a little variation on the edges here so they're not all uniform. So, and you want to just, you know, move them down, but make sure they still overlap. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy that again. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep doing that until we get all the way to the bottom. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we have the back of the dress complete. As you can see, we have these lovely angled shapes, and we have the striations, and we have this tattered looking overskirt. So it looks like there's just different layers of the dress. So we're almost done here. We actually just have 4 layers left. Now we're at 44 layers. I have an optional last layer that I'll show you. You may have less layers than this, which is fine. If you have more, you hopefully don't want to have any more than 2 more. If you do, if you're beyond 46, you may need to go back and see where you may have added an extra layer to delete some, since we have a max of 50. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add a new layer, and we're going to go ahead into flourishes, and we're going to select this flourish here, the bottom left one. Now we want to go ahead and we want to select the lime green color that we used for the base of the dress. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pull this up here, and we're going to kind of center this so that we get that spiral in the center of the bodice here. So I think that's about where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try mirroring. It's not quite where I want it, so I'm going to actually, let's see, it's more like that. So you want to kind of have this little spiral so these pieces kind of loop around and out. And that's the shape that you want. And these 2 pieces should sort of loop around here too. At least that's the pattern that I like. If you don't like that pattern, you can kind of move it around till you get a pattern you like. But we're basically merging those two pieces together. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to take that top layer and we are going to mirror that again. We're going to click outside the dress, and then we're going to take that piece and we're going to move it around to the back. And as you can see, that's too big here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to shrink that down pretty much all the way. And then you want to get it so it basically connects with the pieces that you just did, maybe even overlapping a little bit. If you do it this way, you should have like a little bit of a semicircle in the middle and a circular shape in the middle here. So I'm going to go ahead. I like where that's at. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to mirror that. And I think that's pretty much how I like it. I might just actually undo that real quick. And I'm just going to move this over just slightly. I went over just a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and mirror that again. And that's how I want it. I kind of want it this semicircle in the middle. And now we have the back of the dress done. We have the full dress done. Now we're at 48 layers as you can see. This last piece is optional. I wanted to do it last because it is a max of 50 layers in case I accidentally put an extra layer on. I wanted to just leave myself some extra room. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to go into shapes and I'm going to go into the gradient that we used before. Now I'm going to change this to the darker green that we've been using, and I'm going to max out the shape. Now what this is for is to kind of just give a little bit extra shading to the bottom of the skirt. Now you don't want to leave it on top because as you can see, it kind of mutes out some of the darkness on the side pieces. So this is just to kind of, I just find that this piece kind of pulls your eye up a little bit. So it goes a little bit from dark to light. And I like that shading a little bit. You don't have to use this piece. Again, it's optional. But if you do, just put it down so it's just slightly, there's just a slight gradient on the bottom. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to click outside. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to drag this all the way down to the bottom. And I'm going to put it above these lime green squares here. So as you can see, we have just a little bit of a gradient and it kind of pulls your eyes up. So now let's take a look at the final product. I think it looks really beautiful. I think we did a pretty good job with everything. It looks like we recreated well. I'm going to take a look at my other dress to see how I did. So that's actually pretty close. I made this a little bit tighter, but I think it looks pretty close. So you can always play around with some layers. Now, it might take some work to go in and find the layers that you want to adjust because they are all mostly the same motif, but you can play with that if you want. So we have that done, and to top it off, I have the premium fairy wings. If you have this item, it's great. If you don't have this item, it's a great item to get from the premium shop if it rolls around again. It looks great with this dress. I think it looks really beautiful. It gives me Tinkerbell vibes. So I think we did a pretty good job today. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this tutorial. Let me know if you thought it was easy for you the way I described how to do things, or if it was too complicated. Let me know that as well, so I can try to modify Touch of Magic tutorials in the future so that they're easy for everybody to understand. I do hope to do a beginner's tutorial to Touch of Magic in the future, so I will be working on that. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. In order to stay up to date on my current content, be sure to hit the notification button so you can be notified when I put out a new video or go live. I hope you have a happy and wonderful day.